Okay, guys, so let's get back to analyzing chapter 10 from Animal Farm. Okay, as we were reminded here, okay, you guys are going to be having a lot of comparisons to make on the exam. So I recommend that you guys are able to justify your answers with changes, okay, because again, the final message that we're trying to reach is how things were promised to happen, and the reality, or how things ended up on Animal Farm, which is George Orwell's entire purpose behind writing this allegory. Okay, to show the how it relates to the Russian Revolution, and how the communism was built, and what the foundations of communism were, and how the things ended up in a complete and total dictatorship by Joseph Stalin. All right, which is of course our allegorical character would be Napoleon. Okay, so please let's keep that in mind. Okay, so again, for pensions, we need to understand that animals were promised a certain land that was taken away from them by Napoleon. They thought or had beliefs that they were going to be granted another piece of land, which was a long or a large pasture. They said that they could basically graze and spend their leisure time on. Boxer had plans to, learn the rest of the alphabet, the remaining 24, I believe, or the 22 words of the alphabet that he wanted to learn, and also to spend it on educating himself and improving his mindset. All right. But again, and they also believed that they were going to receive a pension, and the pension was going to be in the form of extra rations. It turns out that no animal was ever going to actually retire. Okay. Nothing, here the talk of setting aside a corner of the pasture for the superannuated animals, which is our vocab word for too old, and maybe, considered like Boxer. He was too old, and maybe they considered him too exhausted to give in, all right, or to produce. This has long dropped. So again, the entire retirement plans are just abolished. Napoleon was now a mature of 24 stone. We're seeing here the squealer was so fat that he could see with difficulty. Again, here, why is George Orwell emphasizing their weight and saying that they're fat and saying that they're big in size and so on? Why? Why is he doing that, Judy?
To show that the pigs are getting more food than other animals.
Exactly. All right. To show that the pigs are getting the better end of life. All right. Here, emphasizing their weight and how big they've gotten and how so on in size. To again, here he's trying to emphasize their advantage regarding food and comfort. Okay, they're getting the better end of the stick, while the other animals are really suffering. Okay, we see that Benjamin also is looking a little grayer. All right, about the muzzle. And Boxer's death, he was even and especially after Boxer's death, he is more morose and taciturn than ever. Morose is deeply saddened, and taciturn means very quiet. Okay, barely spoke. All right. There were many more creatures on the farm now. All right. The population of the farm has increased, but not as expected. All right. Many of the animals that are now are pigs. Okay. We're gonna see here also that all right, the farm possessed three horses besides Clover. All right. They were considered to be beasts. That means very strong in physical ability, and they had willingness to work, but they were very stupid. All right. So these horses that were purchased, again, very stupid is one of the most important qualities that Napoleon wanted in his citizens. All right. And why does he want that? Nano, can you tell us? Why is this the look at if we look at these adjectives to describe the horses? Okay, they were beasts. Okay, physical strength, they were willing to work, and they were stupid. Okay, why are these the perfect citizens for Napoleon? Maya.
To always be oblivious from what he's doing and like unaware of anything he's doing.
Exactly. All right. He wants them not to think, okay, to be very submissive to his orders, and above all, be just ready to give in hard work with little return. And that's to Napoleon, that's exactly what he wants from his animals. Okay. None of them proved able to learn the alphabet. All right. Even beyond the letter B. All right, they accepted everything they were told about the rebellion. All right, and we see here that Clover tried to educate them about what was animalism and what the rebellion was and everything, but of course they didn't understand much of it. All right. We also understand that the farm was prosperous now. That means doing well, successfully producing, all right, and doing well for itself. However, the animals are not receiving any of its gains. All right. We'll see that the success is only returning back on or showing on the pigs rather than the rest of the animals. Okay. We're going to see here that you're gonna definitely, this is a very important paragraph to discuss how did the farm prosper. All right, they engaged in a trading business or a contract business with Mr. Pilkington, and they were able to enlarge their farm by 2 fields. All right, they bought these 2 extra fields from Mr. Pilkington. All right, the windmill was successfully built. Finally, we see here, Hannah, that was one of your questions. What was is the windmill going to be successfully rebuilt? It did. However, it was only used for again, not only the windmill did they possess, they also possessed a threshing machine, and they also had a hay elevator. All right, so these are the technological improvements. Remember, we said the windmill and all these the electricity joining in the farm. What did it symbolize? It symbolized technological improvements that we saw not Joseph Stalin but Trotsky tried to implement in Russia. All right, and of course, here we see that he was kicked off the farm as Snowball or banished by Joseph Stalin. And we see that Joseph Stalin or Napoleon took all his ideas and implemented them into Russia himself, taking credit for them. Okay, so here we see that a lot of technological improvements are on the farm. One question that you need to really remember is the promises that the windmill had to offer and the reality of the windmill. Can someone remind us what were the promises that Snowball told the animals they will receive from the construction of the windmill? Judy.
It will reduce any provide electricity for them, and 3 days per week for working.
Okay, so you're saying very important information. Great. Number one is that the windmill was going to generate electricity. All right, the first thing that the windmill is going to generate electricity, and this electricity is going to be utilized to, again, to obtain light in the stalls. Okay, so that the animals do not have to sit in darkness in their stalls, and also for heat during the winter to keep them warm. Okay, the second valuable piece of information you said was that the windmill was going to make them their work less harder. Okay, so their labor is going to be much, it's going to be decreased. Okay, therefore they're going to end up working 3 days a week, not the full 5-day week. Okay, so they only had Sunday off. So basically, they're gonna work for 3 days. Okay, uh, um, so did anything else was promised from the windmill? Okay, these were the promises. Okay, and things were going to be much better. Their labor is going to be deducted, less tiring, and so on. And now we need to understand how was the windmill actually used. Okay, how was the windmill actually used? Now the windmill, all right, how it was actually used, it didn't generate. Okay, it had not after all been used for electricity. So we need to now understand that in your exam. Okay, if you have a question asking you about the windmill, how were the promises versus reality? Okay, the promises, we just listed them. The reality, we're discussing it right now. Okay, the reality of the windmill, of course, here no electricity was generated. How did they utilize the windmill? Okay, they used it for the milling of the corn. All right, or basically taking those little corn kernels and crushing them into powder. Okay, and again, this here was a profit. It was a handsome money profit. All right, that means that the windmill did all this milling of corn, and it brought in a lot of profit or financial gains to the farm. And of course, we know that who are the ones that are benefiting from this money profit. We would see that it's of course Napoleon and the pigs. Okay, the animals worked hard at building yet another windmill. All right, so they wanted to have more than one windmill on the farm. okay, when this one was finished. It was said the dynamos would be installed, but the luxuries of which Snowball had once taught the animals to dream, the stalls with electricity, all right, the lights and the hot and cold water, I didn't mention that, and a 3-day week were no longer talked about. Okay, so of course, here we see the animals gave up on these dreams. All right, Napoleon had denounced, okay, or put down these ideas. All right. What did he say about the actual rules of or the spirit of animalism? That if you want to be a very happy animal or happiness, where does happiness lay? It lays in working hard and living economically. Okay. Or frugally here means to live economically, means not to be very thrifty, not to spend too much, and so on. Okay, so to work hard basically and to live economically. So this is very important to understand Napoleon's also perspective of what he thought about Snowball's dreams for the animals. Okay, he thought that this does not match with the spirit of animalism. That the true spirit of animalism, the happiness lies in with working hard and living again very economically. All right. Somehow it seemed as though the farm had grown richer without making the animals themselves any richer, except, of course, for the pigs and the dogs. Very important statement. Okay. Very important. All right. Again, here, the prosperity or the wealth of the farm, the gains. If we are going to go with the rules of communism or the rules of animalism, all the animals are equal. All right. Not one animal should be happier or getting any advantages over the other, and we saw that from term 3 when the pigs started to consume the pigs the pigs started to consume the apples, sorry, and the milk. Okay, yes, Hannah.
Miss Hua, why doesn't he just change the animalism or communism rule and make it another thing? Yeah.
It's not up to him. Remember, again, you have to be very tactful. You can't just up and make radical changes suddenly, because then, again, remember he's dealing with
Okay.
a wide range of animals. They can rebel, and if they do rebel, again, they're more than that. They can have an upper advantage. So you have to be very strategic, Hannah. You can't just act out of making these drastic changes suddenly. All right, that could basically upset the the citizens. So he wants to take it easy, one step at a time, and he's making all these changes without them even they realize it, but they're not complaining. And this is the whole point. All right, you realize the changes, however, you don't have anything to say about it, and you don't find it in yourself to even complain about them or to even say no to them. All right, and this is how Napoleon is very manipulative. All right, this is what makes him very manipulative. Okay, you understand now, Hannah?
Yes, yeah, he will make it, and he's changing it step by step.
Yes, he's doing it gradually in a sense that the animals around him are accepting. Okay, the changes are being made, but with every change, there's always some type of defense mechanism that Squealer's point is to justify, to make the animals understand it, and to accept it. Okay, so everything seems to be happening with their knowledge and their approval. You understand the point?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So everything, they're sleeping in beds. The animals know about it. Yes, they do. How did he change it? Yes, but with sheets. Oh, yes, we understand. Okay, now the animals are accepting this and they understand it and they've digested it and took it on and accepted that this is going to be the normal way of living, and they're not going to say anything negative about it because now they understand that they're doing it for the purpose of the pigs getting the enough rest, and so that they're the brain workers of the farm, and so on and so on, and always reminding them that if the pigs don't do their jobs, Mr. Jones might come back. And this is not something the animals want to have, okay, because again, they don't want to see themselves as slaves to humans, even though they're slaves now, but just to Napoleon. Okay. All right, so we need to also know that the majority of the population now on the farm were mainly pigs and dogs. Okay, we see here that they didn't do any work. Okay, And again, here Squealer would always tell them that the pigs are very busy doing something, doing this the supervision and the organization of the farm. All right. Squealer mentions that the pigs are busy with doing some terms that the animals are very oblivious to. Okay, because remember the animals are not too smart. All right, and the work that the pigs are doing is considered filing, making reports, writing minutes, all right, and memoranda or memos. All right, and he started to explain to them that this is making a report is basically taking a piece of paper and writing a lot of information on it, and some information has to be destroyed or burned in the furnace so that we do not give out information that might harm the farm, and basically explaining to them that the pigs are working very hard on such things that no other animal on the farm could possibly be able to do. Okay, filing, writing reports, writing minutes, and writing memos. All right. This is also a very important sentence. The pigs or the dogs did not produce any food by their own labor. All right. And this is what was said about humans in the beginning of time by Old Major. All right. They despised the humans because they were parasitical. All right. They were like parasites. They lived off the production of the animals, and they were the only creatures that didn't produce any food of their own. So here we see that George Orwell is using a very significant sentence to compare the dogs and the pigs to humans. And this is the aim of this chapter. Okay, we're going to see that eventually Napoleon is becoming, and the pigs are becoming closer and closer to humans by behavior and by look. Okay, we're going to see that later. Okay, if you read the chapter, you'll know what I mean. Okay, there were so many of them and their appetites were always good. All right, so here the majority of the population were pigs and dogs. Okay, remember that. And remember that there were so many of them, that means the population, they were highly populating the farm, and their appetites were always good. Hence we're describing the pigs as very fat and chunky and big. Okay, big in size because they're consuming a lot of food even though they're not producing any on their own. Okay, for the animals, unfortunately, they were always hungry. Okay, they slept on the straw and they drank from the pool and they labored in the fields. In the winter, they were cold. All right, so this is now describing the life of the animals. They were troubled by the cold, and in the summer, they were troubled by the flies. Okay, sometimes the older ones among them racked their dim memories and tried to determine whether the days of rebellion, when Jones's expulsion was still recent, things had been better or worse. So let's just remember that racking their dim memories means that they are trying very difficultly to remember how were things in the early days of the rebellion or even during Mr. Jones's time, and they're unable to remember. Okay, we need to remember that the animals could not remember. All right, and of course here, if they cannot remember, then there's nothing that they can compare their present lives to. Okay, Squealer is still misleading the animals by showing them a list of figures, and we said figures here means statistics and numbers, if you guys remember, that he would present them on Sunday meetings to show them how amazingly Animal Farm is increasing their production and so on. The animals found the problem, okay, which all right, the only animal that was able to remember everything very well was old Benjamin. And remember, Benjamin is the only one that always understood what was happening. All right, and he was the first one to also catch on to what? Who can remind me? He was the first one to catch on to what? And notify the animals.
Boxer.
All right, elaborate, Hannah, please.
When Boxer was taken away,
Exactly. What did he notice?
that they're going to kill him because it's I don't remember the name of the that was on the truck, on the
Exactly.
van.
Great. He recognized the name that was written on the truck. He was the first one that did. And he said, what was his famous line that we need to remember? Maya, what did he say?
I can't remember what did he say exactly, but I remember what was written on the van.
Okay, what was written?
It was for an actor.
The knackers. Animal, a slaughterer or horse slaughterer. That they're going to take his body and they're going to create glue. Okay, they were basically a company that specialized in the production or the making of glue, using the remaining or the bodies of the animals. Okay, uh, so
Yes.
uh, um, so basically here we see that again, who sold him to the knackers?
Apple.
Napoleon, great. All right. And of course, we see that he received money or profit in return. What did he do with the profit, Judy?
The money or the body parts? Because I didn't hear.
Okay, the body parts were never returned to the farm. Please remember that. Okay, why were the
Okay.
body parts never returned to the farm?
Because the knackers, يعني take them
Great.
and they
Okay, and
can.
they're going to produce glue. Okay, they used the remainders of his body parts to or his body to produce glue for the production of glue. So here we see that he was never buried in the farm. However, they did have a grave and they decorated it with a wreath for him. Okay, just as it's just to recognize him. Okay, but he was never given a proper burial. All right. Okay, so we said here Benjamin, yes. Okay, so Benjamin here also still remembers every detail of the hardships they went through, and he understands that that there are three things that can never be changed, which is hunger, hardship, and disappointment. That this is going to be always a part of their lives, and it's something that it's unalterable. Okay, the unalterable law of life, that means it's unchanged. All right, nothing is going to change the lives of animals. They're going to always live in hunger, and they're going to always face hardships, and they're going to always be disappointed. Okay. All right. Then the animals never gave up hope. Again, here we see that they always remember the beasts of England. They always remember, of course, the rules or the good times of their green flag fluttering. Okay, how their hearts swelled with pride. Okay, when they talked about the heroic days of getting rid of Mr. Jones, of the day that they wrote the seven commandments of the wall. All right, so here we see that the animals are basically reminiscing or recalling back these amazing memories that makes them very proud of what they had accomplished. All right, even though that the reality of their lives now is completely different. Okay, uh, um, but again, they're still happy with what they have accomplished previously. All right, the Republic of the Animals, because we know that Napoleon changed it into a republic. All right, with the green fields, and even though that Beasts of England was eliminated or abolished or stopped, they still hummed it secretly. So we see here that the poor animals are still holding on to their past, okay, good lives, and what their original foundations of communism were. All right. The again here, even if they were hungry, all right, and they were not eating well, they were still happy that they at least were free. Okay, that they were not calling anyone free a master, and that the animals were created equal. All right, that the animals were still equal, and this is of course what kept them on, or what gave them hope. So here we see that the animals were still hopeful. All right. So here, a good way to summarize this paragraph is it focuses on how the animals never gave up hope, and what really gave them hope is remembering. Okay, remembering what they went through from the past, remembering their struggles and what they're accomplished in getting rid of Mr. Jones and writing the Seven Commandments and creating the flag of Animal Farm, in singing the Beasts of England. All right, and overall, they were just relieved that they were never going to call another human by the name of master, and that essentially all animals are equal. All right. Here we see that Squealer does something, suspicious and very secretive with the sheep. Okay, with the sheep. And sorry, I meant to highlight this one. All right, and what he did is that he took them to a waste ground near the end of the farm. Okay, and he separated them from the rest of the animals. Okay, and they were kept there for a while. All right, even though he came back, they asked him, they ended there, remaining there for a whole week. Okay, so the sheep were kept in a waste ground by the end of the farm, and they stayed there for an entire week. And we see here that the animals kept asking. All right, they asked Sweeler, "Well, where are they?" And he said that he was teaching them to sing a new song for which privacy was needed. All right, so we need to remember that. Okay, so what did Squealer do with the sheep? Can someone again tell us in his own or his or her own words, what did Napoleon do with the sheep? Okay, any volunteers to restate what Napoleon did with the sheep in his own words? Nano, go ahead.
He made Skeeler take them far and teach him a new song.
Exactly. Okay, that he's going to teach them how to sing a new song that required privacy. So he isolated them on at the end of the farm in a wasteful land. Okay, and of course here when the sheep returned, it was during on a pleasant evening on the farm, and the animals had finished
Is
work.
that what happened? That's what he told the animals.
I'm sorry, hon, your voice was cutting up. Can you say that again?
And she's saying that's what happened ولا يعني it's a trick for the animals to get convinced.
Oh, yes, he was definitely teaching them something new to chant. Okay, and if we see here, we're going to continue to see. I need you guys to remember this right here also. This is very important. This part right here, when Clover, okay, what startled Clover? Okay, what did or what is the sight that made Clover startled or very, very surprised, shocked, alarmed? Okay, all these words. Okay, why was she? Okay, and she started to neigh. All right, again, why? What did Clover see that made her in such panic? All right, she saw that the pigs were walking on their hind legs. Okay, the pigs were walking on their hind legs, and here, okay, if we look at this image, we're basically going to see, okay, how the animals, or how the animals were going to start walking. Okay, they're going to start walking on their hind legs. Who are they symbolically representing? Who are they looking like?
Humans?
The
Humans.
human.
All right. What was the rule of animalism? What did we say? What was it?
No animal shall walk on his hind legs.
No, they never.
Four legs good, two legs bad.
Exactly.
And
We always said
and
four legs good, two legs bad. All right, four legs good, two legs bad. And who was upset when they first came up with this maxim? The birds, remember? The birds
yes.
and they said, because we have two legs, are we considered bad? And they said no. Okay, no, comrades, you guys are considered friends, because you have wings. Okay, you do not have hands. Okay, and the hands are the human vice, because they use these hands to inflict pain and torture on us. All right, so you guys all have hands, you have wings, so you are considered comrades, and we're going to count your wings just like legs. Okay, therefore they're also part of the four legs good, two legs bad. All right, the image here that we're going to look at, very important, is the animals are walking on their hind legs or their back legs. Again here, surrounded by the guards, by these dogs, those vicious dogs that Napoleon uses to scare and alarm the animals. Okay, of course it was Squealer, all right, walking. on his hind legs. And then later, we see that there's a long file of the pigs walking in their hind legs. So not only Squealer, but again, all the animals are just walking in a file or in a line coming out of the farmhouse, just lined up, walking, with on their hind legs. All right. And what do we notice about their clothing in this image? They're dressed. Yes. What was the first rule of animalism? I think one of the rules of animalism is that no clothes. Animals were going to go around, basically. They've mentioned with no clothes. Okay. Now here we see that the image of the animal.
It said no animal. Shall wear clothes, and they said that no animal shall do use anything that has to do with the humans.
Exactly, Hannah. That's correct. Okay. No animal should do anything close to representing a human in any way, shape, or form. All right. Not in clothes, not in appearance, not so on. All right. So here we see that they were walking in a line. All right. And some animals, or some of them, they were unsteady, and as though they would have liked the support of a stick. Remember, this is unbalancing for them. But every one of them made it successful around the yard. And then Napoleon came. Napoleon himself, majestically upright. All right. Napoleon himself, majestically upright, again, giving them haughty glances from side to side with his dogs gambling around. All right, so he's again here. He is very proud of himself. All right, and this is like the look. Okay, and he carried a whip in his trotter. All right, why again is this strange? When did we see whips before? What did they do with whips after the rebellion? Can someone remind me? Judy.
They use it to hit. No, that's something else.
What did they do with the whips after the rebellion, Maya?
Um,
They throw them in the fire.
They got rid of them. They threw them in the fire. Yes, they burned them. And why, Maya?
To get rid of the things that the humans used to hurt them with.
Exactly. All right. They wanted to get rid of all the torture, or all weapons, or all of the implements that the humans once used to torture the animals with. And now we see that not only that they're walking on their hind legs or two legs only, Napoleon himself is holding a whip, okay, which is a sign that he's intending on to inflicting pain onto his, or he might hurt his comrades, okay, which is something that, again, surprising to the animals. All right, there was dead silence. All right, the animals watched the pigs as they made this rotation around the yard. They were shocked. All right. And of course, here they couldn't believe what they saw with their own eyes, and they thought they might start some type of protest. So here we see that the animals wanted to actually start some type of protesting. But of course, who came to interfere and to basically ruin the moment? Again, it's the sheep. And we saw that Napoleon used the sheep in that sense. If you guys remember, that Napoleon also used the sheep in the day of the day of Snowball's, the day that the voting for the windmill. All right, Snowball was going to basically make this profound speech. And as soon as Napoleon recognized that the public or the animals were leaning more towards Napoleon and his words, this is when the sheep started to break in with their bleeding of four legs good, two legs bad, four legs good, two legs bad. All right, and here we see that the animals were basically, or Napoleon's moment of recognition was lost. So here again, we need to remember that the animals were very close to protesting, very close. They thought they might have the courage to actually utter some words of protesting, but what came in the middle and destroyed everything? Again, it was the bleeding of the sheep. And this is the song that Napoleon was making them memorize. All right, when he took them to this faraway area that Nano told us about. All right, what was he making them memorize? The new saying: four legs good, two legs better. Okay, four legs good, two legs better. We need to remember that. Okay, this is how four legs good, two legs bad changed to four legs good, two legs better. Okay, it went on for 5 minutes, and by the time the sheep had quieted down, the chance to utter any protest had passed. Okay, so again, this is how we see that the sheep interfered with the protesting of the animals. Okay, uh, um, we're going to pick up this last 2 pages tomorrow. All right, and we're going to resume our first. We're gonna end our finish our 5 or 6 words, and then we're gonna revise chapter 10 from pronouns. Okay, using our workbooks. So have them prepared tomorrow, please. And we're gonna finish chapter 10 and receive any questions for chapter 6. Okay, guys. Take care, and I'm going to upload these videos so that you guys can watch them, and also for help you to study. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Okay, guys, take care. Take care. Bye.